Hello, friends. The 50 over Women World Cup 2022 has started. The first match has happened, and in the first match, West Indies caused an upset by defeating the host country, New Zealand. And I'll be doing an analysis of all the teams in this World Cup, and I'll be giving you my prediction about the four semi finalists of this World Cup, and also which two teams will face each other in each of the semi finals. So first of all, let's have a look at the format of this World Cup. There are total 8 teams playing in this World Cup. These are India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, West Indies, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and England. And there is only one group. There are not two groups in this World Cup. Each team will play the other team once. So since there are 8 teams, so each of the team is going to play a total of 7 matches. And at the end of all these matches, the teams which will be at the top 4 positions in the group, those teams will qualify for the semifinals. The number one team will face number 4 team in first semifinal, and number 2 team in the group table will face number 3 team in the other semifinal. So this is the format of this World Cup. Now, analyzing all the teams one by one, let's first of all have a look at the Australian team. Australian team is right now the number one ranked team in the world in this format, 50 over format. And they have won the 50 over World Cup 6 times. That is the maximum number of times. And they have been enjoying a tremendous record in the last 4 years. They have lost only one match in last 4 years while winning 30 ODI matches. Their winning streak was broken by India last year. So Australian team is really looking strong, and I think they are clearly the favorites going into this tournament. And I'm sure that Australia will be reaching the top 4. Most probably, Australia will finish at either number 1 or number 2 position. So my first pick would be Australia. I think Australia will be one of the semi-finalists. And then the other semi-finalist, I think, will be England. England has won the World Cup 4 times, and they are the defending champions. England won the World Cup last time, and they have been in good form. They have performed well in last 4 years. They have maintained their performance. So I think England will also qualify for the semi-finals, and they might finish at number 2 or maybe number 3, somewhere in the top 3. And for the other 2 spots, I think there is battle. The game is open for the other 2 semi-finalist spot. And for these other 2 spots, I think these 4 countries can qualify: India or New Zealand or West Indies or South Africa. It will be 2 out of these 4. And New Zealand, let's first of all talk about New Zealand. New Zealand is the host team, and that's why they will be benefiting by the home conditions, definitely. And they have performed well in the warm-up games and also in the recent ODI series against India. It was in New Zealand. New Zealand was in good form. They defeated India by 4-1. So New Zealand was in good form going into this tournament, but they had a bad start to the tournament when they lost to West Indies in the first match. And they were expected to win this match against West Indies. So that is a bad start. But still, I think as the tournament will progress, New Zealand will pick up its performance. But in the end, it can be 50-50 for New Zealand. Maybe they will be fighting for the number 4th spot. They might finish at number 4 spot or at number 5 also. So I think in case of New Zealand, it is going to be 50-50. But the one team which I think out of these 4 will qualify for the semi-finals, that will be South Africa. South Africa is right now the number 2 ranked ODI team in the world in women's format. They are in good form. They have entered this tournament in good form. They recently won a ODI series against West Indies, and they have performed well in the last 4 years. So I think South Africa will be the third semi-finalist. And regarding West Indies, although they upset New Zealand in the first match, but just like the men cricket team, women cricket team of West Indies is also quite inconsistent. So you can never be sure about them. In the last 4 years, their win percentage has been only 33.33. So they have lost more than half of their matches in last 4 years. So going by that, it seems that as the tournament will progress, maybe West Indies won't be able to maintain their good performance and their performance will fall down. So I think somewhere that West Indies won't be able to make the semi-final spot. They will just miss it. And then the other remaining team, India. I think India, just like New Zealand, India also will have a 50-50 chance of making it to the semi-finals. In the last 4 years, Indian performance has been sort of 50-50. They have won half their matches and lost half of their matches. Last time in the World Cup, they were the runners up, and they have entered this tournament not exactly in good form as they lost to New Zealand 4-1 recently. But again, that series was in New Zealand, and this World Cup is also happening in New Zealand. So the practice which they had against the New Zealand, the practice of playing in these seeming conditions, I think that can benefit India. So in case of India also, I think it is going to be sort of 50-50 like New Zealand. So the fourth semi-finalist spot will be occupied either by India or by New Zealand. And Pakistan and Bangladesh, I think they won't be making to the semi-finals. They have the least chance. Their performance has not been up to the mark in the last 4 years. They are a lower ranked team in the 50 over format in women cricket. So Pakistan and Bangladesh won't be reaching semi-finals. So now I have picked up total 5 teams. Out of these 5 teams, 4 will be reaching the semi-finals. About the 3 teams, I am sure these are Australia, England, and South Africa. These 3 will definitely be reaching the semi-finals, and they will be occupying the first 3 positions in the group table. And the fourth position will be occupied either by India or by New Zealand. Now, to make my final prediction, I think India will just go ahead of New Zealand for the number 4 spot. So India, I think, will make it to the semi-finals for the number 4 position. So these are my final 4 semi-finalists: Australia, England, South Africa, and India. And the 2 semi-finals which will happen will be between, I think the first semi-final will be between Australia and India. Australia will finish number 1 in the table, and India will finish number 4. So that will be the first semi-final, Australia versus India. And the second semi-final will be England versus South Africa. That is my prediction about the semi-finals and the semi-finalists of this World Cup. So let's see if my guess proves correct and how the teams perform. That we will have to see. This World Cup seems to be really interesting and thrilling. I think the matches are going to be great. So let's see, friends.